All right, Bears fans, before we jump into tonight's video, help us reach 500 subscribers on the Callin app. If you don't know what the Callin app is, it's basically Twitter Spaces, but even better, there's a couple cool features in there, like a live chat and some other stuff as well. Your chance to call into the show and talk to me after every single Bears game will be live this Sunday after the Bears take on the Lions. Give us a subscription over there. It's 100% free. Go to chatsports.com/BearsCallin. We are 42 subs away from 500 subscribers. You can download the app on iOS and Android. Very user-friendly app on your smartphone. We'll put the download links to iOS and Android in the chat as well. Subscribe. Join us, Bears Now on Callin, every single week for a post-game show. Welcome into Bears Now by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. Video number 2 on the day. Turn on your notifications. That way you never miss a video here on the channel. Coming up later on in the show, 3 players the Bears should sign this offseason per Bleacher Report. We'll take a look at those 3 players and whether or not I think they are a potential fit for this football team for 2023. But first, let's get to some news here. And this is kind of a combination of current news and then a theory of mine. Is Byron Pringle not going to return this year? Let's hit the news part of it first. Matt Eberflus says that Pringle remains in the 21-day practice window to return. Now, by my math, they activated his window on October 26th. It's November 9th. I think we're on day 15. So the Bears have about 6 days to decide if they're going to activate him and put him on the 53-man roster. If they do not, he remains on IR for the rest of the season and will not play this year. So they can get through one more game because by game day on Sunday, I think it would be day 20. So by Monday, they'll have to decide, Monday or Tuesday of next week. So I don't think we'll see him this week, but we're on day 15 right now. Like typically when you start that practice window, you got more clarity at this point in time. And I tweeted this out earlier because I've felt this way for about a week, and I'm feeling it even more with just the way Flus is talking. He's like, yeah, he's still in his practice window. I just have a weird feeling Pringle isn't going to play again this year. And the main reason why isn't because I don't think he can get healthy. I think it's because even though we continue to talk about the Bears not having enough weapons, and I agree long term, is Byron Pringle some huge weapon? Like, where does he fit in the mix here? He's clearly not playing over Darnell Mooney or Chase Claypool. I don't think giving snaps to him over N'Keal Harry makes sense. The Bears like St. Brown. We all hate that drop at the end of the game, but they value his blocking. And overall, he's done a solid job in that role. Again, I don't think he's a number 2 or number 3, but as a 4 or 5, he's fine. Pettis has been okay. Velus Jones, your third-round rookie, was inactive. Like, who is Byron Pringle taking snaps from? Whose spot is he taking if you activate him? I just don't know where you put him out there. Now, I think he's a better route runner and ball catcher than St. Brown. But again, the way this team runs the football, they value St. Brown's size and frame and physicality, whereas Pringle, nice slot receiver, good route runner, he hasn't done anything for you this year. Like, St. Brown's at least contributed to this football team's. Pettis has contributed some as well, although he's obviously limited as well. I don't know. I have a feeling that this time next week, Pringle's not going to be activated and his season's going to be over. I could be wrong. I'd like to be wrong. I'd like to get him in the fold, see what he can do. But again, you tell me, whose spot is he going to take? So what do you think? Will Byron Pringle play again this year? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I'm leaning no, and it's weird to say because when the Bears signed him, I thought he could be like a solid number 3 type. That has obviously not been the case. Cast your votes, Y for yes, N for no. More on the injury front, update on Matt Adams. His 21-day practice window open today. The Bears activated that window, so we'll see what happens with him. Obviously, the Bears are very thin at linebacker after trading Roquan Smith. Jack Sanborn made his first start last week in Smith's absence. You got Nick Morrow, Joe Thomas, but Matt Adams obviously isn't a world beater, but couldn't hurt to get a vet back in the mix, a guy who knows this defense. Other guys in the injury report, Al-Quadin Muhammad today did not practice with the knee injury. We'll see what his status is. I'm not too concerned. I don't think AQM has really contributed much of anything this year. Kindle Vildor, that's a name to watch on Sunday as he's dealing with an ankle. Dane Cruikshank was sick. We'll see what his status is tomorrow. Then Josh Blackwell limited with a knee injury, one of your top special teams guys. But Vildor's one to watch because even though he's been a bit up and down, I think he's a better option than Jalen Jones right now at corner. I think this coaching staff is still evaluating Vildor, and I think he's a guy to evaluate the rest of the year. Like, do you go into next year with him as one of your top 3 corners along with Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, or does corner become a need? Do you feel like you have to go out and get somebody to help out in the secondary? We'll see if he's able to play this week. Subscribe to Chicago Bears Now for more Bears news, rumors, updates. When news drops like the injury report and other storylines, we got you covered. Big rumors circulating. We hit you on that stuff as well. And like I said earlier, turn on those notifications because sometimes, like today, we release multiple videos in one day. And if you're not notified, if you don't get the notification on your phone, you're like, oh, I missed an episode, didn't even notice it. Hit the sub button, turn notifications on to all. That way you never miss a video here on the channel. All right, let's talk more about the refs. I thought we were done with this, but we're not. The refs admit fault, according to a report, that the NFL admits to multiple missed calls in the Bears versus Dolphins game, and I don't think there's really any doubt. Alex Shapiro tweeted this out, that the Bears have heard back from the league on a few plays that they sent in from the Dolphins game. And if you don't know, teams are allowed to send in plays to the league to get analyzed and get feedback from, and they did that, and they received feedback, according to a source from Shapiro, that the league admitted to missing 2 calls. The DP, defensive pass interference against Eddie Jackson, which we broke that one down. That should not have been called. If anything, it was OPI. And then they admitted that there should have been a flag on the Dolphins for that deep ball to Chase Claypool, which directly impacted the loss. I mean, let's be honest. That flag's thrown. It's a spot foul. You're in field goal range. At worst, you tie the game. Late in that one, we all know what happened on 4th down. St. Brown dropped the ball. Obviously, you can't do that. But here's what's frustrating. What does this accomplish? If anything, this just pisses off Bears fans, right? It's like, hey, yeah, my bad, Chicago. We missed a couple critical calls. Well, okay, are you going to do something about it? Like, obviously, I don't expect the league to be like, yeah, we got to go play the final 3 minutes of that game because we missed the Claypool call. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, and what I think I said the other day, is that NFL officials, I get it. They get a lot of criticism from fans, but they make a really good living. I mean, they're making 6 figures, if you don't know that. And there really aren't major repercussions unless you're like a repeat offender time and time and time again for big calls. Do we think really anything is going to happen to that officiating crew? They had 3 or 4 brutal calls in that game. Like, to me, a fair punishment would be like, okay, this crew does not get to officiate a game next week. They lose a game check. I think that's fair. I think that is fair for that to happen. I'm not saying this crew should get fired. I'm not saying their career should be over. They got to feed their families as well. But every job on the planet, if you screw up dramatically, which they did, there's going to be a repercussion for it. If I do 20 bad videos in a row and get bad numbers, I'm not saying I'm going to get fired, but I guarantee you I'm having a meeting with my bosses and they're going to say, what the hell is going on? BetUS, another sponsor on today's episode, as you can make money all season long betting on the NFL. Just use our link, chatsports.com/Bears. Promo code is BEARDOWN to get 125% deposit bonus, put down $100. They'll give you an additional $125 for free. Here are the odds for this weekend. And by the way, Bears only 3-point favorites at home at Soldier Field against the Lions. I get the Bears are 3-6, Lions are 2-6, 2-7, whatever. It's not like the Bears are monumentally better, but they're at home and they're averaging over 31 points per game in their last 3, and Detroit's defense stinks. I don't care that they shut down Aaron Rodgers last week. He threw 3 picks in the red zone. Like, he just is not playing well. By the way, I like the over. 48.5, hammer the over on this one. Hammer the Bears. Chatsports.com/Bears, promo code BEARDOWN to get 125% deposit bonus. Let's finish up today's show by taking a look ahead to next year. I got a video coming out on the channel soon on 25 defensive free agents the Bears could target next season, but Bleacher Report released an article of 3 offensive free agents that the Bears could sign next offseason, and I found these names to be interesting, so I wanted to break them down Number one here, JuJu Smith-Schuster, the receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, who's kind of playing like a low-end number one this year. I mean, you look at the numbers, 44 catches. This is in 8 games, by the way. 582 yards, average of over 13, couple touchdowns. He got off to a bit of a slow start, but he's really picked it up. I mean, he's on pace to have like 1,240 yards. He's really having a nice year for Kansas City. Now, he's kind of in that what Allen Robinson was for the Bears in 2018, 19, and 20, where he's like a low-end number one. He's not a Tyreek Hill type. He's not a DeAndre Hopkins type number one, but he's like a low-end one or a very, very good number two. He's fully back from that injury that he had last year, playing really well. Obviously, when you play with Patrick Mahomes, it helps, but he's playing good football. I'll be interested to see what his market is this offseason as he signed a 1-year, I think like $10 million deal with the Chiefs. I think he's going to get a pay raise. Mecole Hardman, another Kansas City Chief that could be intriguing. And in this case, Ryan Poles helped draft Hardman back in 2018 when he was on the Chiefs staff through last season. Obviously, they signed JuJu this offseason, so Poles doesn't have that connection there. But he does with Mecole Hardman. And Mecole Hardman has been a little bit up and down, but he has shown explosiveness at times in his career. We saw it a lot his rookie year when he averaged over 20 yards a catch, had 6 touchdowns, 2 more touchdowns as well. I think he had 1 rushing, 1 returning. Didn't find as much explosion the last couple of years, but the last 3 weeks, he has 5 total touchdowns for Kansas City, 4 receiving on the year, 2 rushing as well for Hardman. So he's been doing really, really well for the Chiefs as of late. And he's not like a true full route tree guy, but you look at what you have. If Mooney and Claypool are your primary guys, maybe Hardman's like what you were hoping Velus Jones would be, more of a gadget guy who can also run some of the tree, give you some explosiveness. He's a good returner as well. Speed and versatility. That is what Mecole Hardman brings to the table. He's a sub 4.4 guy, another burner that you could add to this offense. And if you bring back guys, obviously Claypool will be here next year, but if you bring back one of N'Keal Harry and St. Brown, maybe you don't need another 6'3", 6'4 guy. You bring a guy like Hardman who can run some jet sweeps, you can line him up in the backfield, play some slot, play some outside, be a return guy. That would be interesting, and he obviously I don't think will cost nearly what a guy like JuJu Smith-Schuster will. Now pick a receiver. Who would you rather have? Type JS for JuJu Smith-Schuster, type MH for Mecole Hardman. They're totally different players, so it's got to pick your poison. It would depend on money, I think. I don't know if I'd give JuJu like $20 million a year, and some team might. It might come down to that, JS or MH. Final guy here, James Robinson, who's really been a nice story as an undrafted rookie a few years ago. He's in year 3 now. Got traded from the Jags to the Jets after they lost Breece Hall for the year, and has just been steady since he entered the league, right? As an undrafted rookie in 2020, had a 1,000-yard season, 7 touchdowns. Last year on less carries, was similar productive, or had similar production in terms of yards per carry, just got less touches, still had 8 touchdowns. This year, the yards per carry down a little bit, but still over 4 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. If David Montgomery walks in free agency, I think Robinson could be a nice replacement there and be your RB2. Obviously, Khalil Herbert would be your RB1 in that scenario, but I do think whether it's Monty or someone else, the Bears want to have a second back along with Khalil Herbert in this offense. This is going to be a team that runs the football a decent amount moving forward. Sure, passing is going to become more of an emphasis over time with Justin Fields, but they have found something running the football. And Khalil Herbert, you're not going to give him 30 carries a game. So I think they'll find someone, or they'll re-sign David Montgomery, which I think would be preferable for everybody if the price is right. But Robinson would be a nice replacement. Similar physical type of back, and get those short yardage, and can carry the workload at times as well. All right, appreciate you guys for tuning in here on a Wednesday night. If you missed our video earlier, we broke down Justin Fields winning NFC Player of the Week and talked about a couple other stories as well, so go check that out. Hit the sub button, turn on the noties, and we'll see you next time here on Bears Now.